Today, I want to talk about something different. Maybe it won't apply to many families, but maybe it will. Just something to consider in the state of California. This is very specific to California. I want to talk about is have you ever wondered or seen something of what exactly is a personal attendant in the state of California and what they're legally allowed to do? And people interchange caregiver and personal attendant in the state of California, but this is very important, particularly in Long Beach and Los Angeles County. It can help protect families and the caregivers and avoid costly legal mistakes. So today I'm going to break down a few things. What a personal attendant is in California, what they can and cannot do, how hours and wages are handled under California law, how these rules protect both the caregiver and the person receiving care, and why it's so important to use an agency that follows these labor laws and these classification rules. Now, this isn't just legal jargon. This is the law that keeps people safe, gets caregivers paid fairly, and keeps families out of legal trouble. So the first thing I want to address is what is a personal attendant in California? So in California law, a personal attendant is a type of domestic care worker whose main job is to provide personal care, like feeding, bathing, dressing, supervising, or assisting someone who needs help due to their age, disability, or physical needs. If more than 80% of their work week is spent on these personal care duties and less than 20% is spent on general housekeeping, like housekeeping, then they are considered a personal attendant. This matters because the law treats personal attendants differently from other domestic workers, and they have specific protections under California's Domestic Worker Bill of Rights. So, what do personal attendants do? A personal attendant's duties focus on personal care and supervision, as I mentioned. So, really, in the home care space, helping a client or a patient with bathing, dressing, grooming, feeding, and toileting assistance, direct supervision if the person needs help walking or transferring, like moving from location to location or position, and supporting someone with advanced age or physical disability. Now, more importantly, and clients always or patients always ask me this, general housekeeping like laundry, cooking, making beds, or cleaning cannot exceed 20% of their time if the worker is going to be legally classified as a personal attendant. That 20% rule protects fair treatment and it determines which labor protections apply. So what do personal attendants, we know what they do, what can't they do? So there are some limits here. A personal attendant should not be asked to perform mostly housekeeping or general chores, act as a nurse or provide medical treatment even if they are trained to do so, and take over responsibilities of a licensed medical professional. If the job is mainly household maintenance, the worker may be classified as another type of domestic worker, which triggers different wage and hour rules that have to be followed. Which leads me into my next topic, hours, wages, and overtime protections. Now, this is one of the most misunderstood parts of the law. I know I had to study it for a while, hours and overtime work. So overtime for personal attendants. Under California's Domestic Worker Bill of Rights, a personal attendant must be paid 1.5 times X their regular rate for work over 9 hours in a day, really in a calendar day. They must also get overtime for work over 45 hours in a week, typically, or more generous from a federal perspective, we do 40 hours a week. Now, keep in mind, this is different from standard hourly rules that apply to most other employees. Like I mentioned, from the federal perspective, it's 8 hours or 40 hours a week, work week for overtime. But this is specific to personal attendants in private homes. Minimum wage. Personal attendants must be paid at least the California minimum wage, which in many areas in Los Angeles County is higher than the state baseline, so higher than California minimum wage. And because the caregiver is an employee, not an independent contractor, they must be paid that actual hours work, including time they're on duty and time they're required to stay on the premises by the employer to the patient or client. Now, That means employers can't just pay a flat rate. They must track real hours and compensate accurately. So now you might be thinking, well, how does this all apply to me? How does this protect me as a caregiver and as well as a client or a patient? These labor protections at the end of the day keep everyone safe. For the caregiver, they get fair pay, they receive appropriate overtime, they aren't misclassified as contractors, their hours and duties are clearly defined. For the person receiving care, you're working with someone who is genuinely compensated for their time and effort. And that's really out of respect and dignity for the person and the caregiver, really. There's less risk of legal problems for your family, particularly if you know the agency is taking care of this. And there's a structured way to address disputes or pay issues instead of informal arrangements with no protection, or if there's a contractor in your home, as an example. So in short, following the law protects dignity, pay fairness, and legal compliance for everyone involved. So working with a compliant agency matters. Here's where many families, in my experience, get into trouble. If you hire a caregiver directly, especially without understanding these laws in the state of California, you could be responsible for overtime pay you didn't expect. You could be legally responsible for payroll taxes and workers' compensation. And misclassification could lead to audits or penalties under California labor law. California law clearly considers most personal attendants and caregivers as employees, not independent contractors. And that means the employer must withhold taxes, pay overtime, and provide workers' comp and other benefits. If you're looking at other home care agencies or studying home care, thinking about going to agency, ask the agency how they address this and do they understand the laws and that they're all employees, the caregivers. Now, a licensed home care agency, however, handles everything, right? As I mentioned, payroll, tax compliance, ensure the caregivers are legally classified, they paid overtime correctly, they provide workers' comp coverage, and at the end of the day, they reduce the risk for families who are the clients. This legal compliance isn't optional. It's what separates a professional caregiving service from informal arrangements that could expose your family to financial and legal issues. Now, to sum it all up for you, a personal attendant in California is a caregiver whose main job is to do personal care, supervising, feeding, bathing, and dressing someone who needs support. Their role, again, is defined by legal classification under state law, and that classification determines how they're paid, what rights they have, and how they must be treated by employers. Now, understanding these rules help you hire caregiving support confidently, particularly with a compliant agency, protect the caregiver's rights, protect their family from legal trouble, and ensure consistent, reliable, and high-quality care. If you're thinking about hiring care, whether through an agency or privately, make sure you understand these rules so everyone involved is treated fairly and legally. If you enjoyed watching this video, as always, feel free to hit subscribe, like, comment on your own experiences. Love to hear about it. Thanks.